So there's something I want to talk about today, and that is what I've come to realize as a semi fallacy, or I really don't know how to term it, right? Maybe it's half true, and that is around the idea of follow your passion. You see, I've been online for a while. If you look at my profiles on YouTube, I think I started this channel in 2015. That's 10 years ago. I know I was on Facebook in 2006, LinkedIn 2009. I've been at the almost the beginning. Well, maybe YouTube. I was late on YouTube because a lot of people on YouTube, back in 2010, 2011. But the one thing that I bought into early on was the idea of pursue your passion, follow your passion, and you can make a great career out of your passion. And no matter what it is, you can make a career out of it. And that is partly true, but not the whole truth. So I want to talk about what the whole truth has been for me and for, excuse me, those that I've shared the idea with. And a couple of nights ago, my wife and I were having this conversation about it, and just playing back on some of the decisions we made that were informed by the notion that we could succeed at anything so far as we're passionate about it. And the one thing that we missed or we really did not calculate was the impact on environment. And as you are on your journey, whatever it is, and wherever on the journey you are, I want you to realize that whilst it is true that you may be able to build a career or a business around your passion, the kind and size of business and how much of an impact it makes for you as the owner and for your world will really depend on the environment in which you find yourself. Okay. For a while, I dabbled in the marketing agency space. So let me go back. Living in Liberia, there are some limitations in terms of access to internet, access to electricity, even being able to uh, uh, um, perform certain transactions. I was sharing with somebody the other day, back in 2009, I started to hear. I used to dabble in the what was high yield investment programs, and I made some money in HYIPs for a while, and then I got burned, not too much. I was a net winner, and I pulled out, and then I started to do forex trading on a platform called eToro, and but before I started doing eToro, the Bitcoin white paper came out, and I remember skimming through it, and I believe Bitcoin was about 75 cents at the time. And I probably had like $2 or $3,000 that I would have invested because I had just come from HYIP, high yield investment programs, and I was willing to put at least half of that into Bitcoin. But being in Liberia, everything I tried, you know, PayPal had blocked my account because I had a PayPal account in the US, but then when I came over to Liberia, moved back home, obviously with the notice of a change in IP, they restricted my account, and I had money locked up in PayPal. I couldn't. I had closed my US bank account at the time, and so I really didn't have much. And I tried using Coinbase, and Coinbase wouldn't accept my account because I was in Liberia. And the only platform that I could get on at the time was eToro, and eToro wasn't doing Bitcoin. And I've watched sometimes in pain as Bitcoin has risen, and I know people who have made millions from Bitcoin, and I couldn't do anything about it until later Binance came around. And but by the time Binance had come around, I had already suffered trauma from the whole day trading or the whole trading idea. And that trauma came from the Japan earthquake of 2011. I had gotten greedy. I made some money during the day. I was trading JPY USD, and it was going well. And my strategy at the time was, due to time difference, that I will close my trades at 2 a.m. local time, open at 4 p.m. my time, and close at 2, based on my schedule and the time the markets open. And that was working. I was doing okay. I started my account with about $3,000. I had grown it up to $22,000 within 3 months. I was happy with that, and I was making, And then this particular day, I think in a day, I had made about $5,000 in one day. And because I was doing that much, I neglected my own rule, and rather than setting my stop trades at 2 a.m. as I normally do, or at least putting in the proper stop loss, I didn't. I left the trade open through the night. Well, while I was asleep, we had an earthquake in Japan, and when I woke up that morning, I had lost $18,000. It may not be a lot of money if you're big into the trades and you're doing millions of dollars. 18K may not be much. But for me, it was and still is a significant chunk of change. And for some reason, since that day, I have not gone back to trading. And I probably will need to talk to a coach or a therapist to help me overcome whatever effect that loss had on me, but I have not traded since 2011. And I shared a story coming back to the whole issue of passion and pursue your passion. I have always been passionate about technology and using technology to advance myself, the digital space, blogging, affiliate marketing, earning money online, coaching online. And I have achieved success in these areas to a certain extent. Coaching, I've worked with clients online, I've coached clients online, I've provided consulting services remotely. But it's never been at the scale at which I know I can do it. It's never been at that scale. It's touch and go, touch and go. And because of the environment and the economy, I sometimes have to leave it and then move back into development consulting, which is something I can provide locally, And then when I go into development consulting, it has to take some time for momentum to build before projects start to come. And then once I've, reached a certain point, I really want to go back to pursuing my passion, because development consulting is not really my passion. My passion is creating content online and monetizing content online. But the problem is, it's been touch and go because, in my opinion, the environment in which I found myself has not fully supported that ability. So, for instance, I want to when I tried doing a digital marketing agency a few years back. That was 2014. I launched my agency in 2014. I got some clients. I built websites for them, but the most money I made from the agency was from a foreign client who had happened to pass through Liberia, who had come to Liberia. So my outreach activities, using online phones, VIP phones, started to pick up. But then I get sucked back into the environment, either through the kinds of conversations I get, mindset wise, and or the politics of the day, or seeing people in dire situations that move me to want to do something about it, and then I forget about the business I'm building, and I move into philanthropy or social, social activist mode. All of these things have affected my ability to create the way or to create the results that I want to create. So, what does this mean for you? What it means is that whatever the results are that you want to create, yes, you want to believe that they're possible from anywhere, but you have to understand something. If you've grown up in a particular environment and you've been known to be a particular kind of person doing a particular kind of thing in that environment, when you decide to change, your best bet is to change your environment, become that new person. And if you still want to come back to that place and make an impact, that's fine. This was the mistake that I made. My time in Liberia, I've been known as a business and leadership trainer and a coach and providing pro bono or semi pro bono or a service at a particular price point and being motivational speaker and all of that to young people. I've been known to provide, vocational leadership or vocational training programs. All of these impact-driven things, and they've been great. They've made impact. I'm proud. I have mentees and clients who work at the highest helms of government right now. And whilst I'm proud of that, I'm not sure that it moves me anymore because ultimately, the content that I create has not been able to create passive income. And for me, that's not something that I'm happy about because I've always envisioned myself creating content that creates passive income, whether it's a blog, my YouTube channel, or selling courses, or doing all of these different things that I know is possible and I know people who are doing and doing it well. Why? Why will Pat Flynn make 100K a month, or whoever else that comes to mind from their blog, and I can make 100K a month from my blog? They're not any different, you know. So the thing that for me is the difference is the environment. And when I look and I follow some people who are doing big things, I realize that that's a trend that people have to change their environment to make things happen. People, if you're looking at the US, I know people have to leave from one state and maybe go to Silicon Valley or move to Washington or whatever the case is. And sometimes it really doesn't matter where you go, so far as you go somewhere different. And a couple of years back, yeah, towards the end of 2023, I made a quick trip to Asia, to Southeast Asia, and I spent a few days in Cambodia and a few days in Singapore, and it was interesting because my level of productivity whilst in these two countries far exceeded anything that I've, you know, come close to while being at home in Liberia. It's as if when you change your environment, you increase your focus because you have nothing else to distract you. I could be sitting here right now, and somebody will come through that door, even though I'm in an office. Or if later on, I'll get a call that this person needs help. And the fact that I'm on the ground and have the capacity to help, my nature would not permit me not to help. But you see, if I'm not here, wherever I am, nobody knows what I'm capable of helping with or not. So I don't get called for that kind of help. And I don't get to feel bad that I have to say no because I'm not where, so those who would need my services in Liberia would not have access to me as well. So when you're ready to make a shift, this is as important to me as it is to you. When you're ready to make a major shift in your life, to change your trajectory, what I have learned, what I'm putting into place is to change your environment as quickly as possible. And I was dare say that it is not so much as important as to where you go as it is that you go. So let me say that again. There are some of you, or you may be in a country where that's considered a third world country, like I am in Liberia right now. And you may think that, okay, I want to go to the West, or I want to go to Europe or to America or Canada or wherever else because there are better opportunities there. And you're right, there are better opportunities in the States, in Canada, in Europe than you find, or than you probably find where you are. And I'm not going to go into the geopolitics and some of the things that have contributed to many African countries being the way they are. Maybe I'll start having those conversations. But as it is right now, if you have the means to move to a Western country or a more developed country, that's fine. Then you do that. If not, then you move to a country that you are not so much known, especially if the kind of thing you want to do happens to be online. Because you can do it from anywhere, all you need to do is to have access to internet and electricity. I wouldn't so much suggest that you come to Liberia because those two are still not the best. But there are other African countries where you have better internet access and better electricity access. But if you're already in the West or in a developed country, then your issue is not internet and electricity. Your issue is just the other distractions. So if it means that you'll move from, your state, maybe I used to live in Minnesota. So leave from Minnesota and go to Illinois. That's an 8-hour drive, more or less, or even more, you know? Or leave from St. Paul and go to, Egan. That's a 15-minute drive, more or less. Leave from New York and go to Michigan. Or you leave from Croatia and go over to England. That's the whole idea. Just move. And if you cannot afford to move to a completely different city or a completely different country, just change your community. Even if you live in your own house right now, put that house on rent and move to a different community and use that same money to rent somewhere else. But just change your environment. And this, to me, and after this very deep conversation with my wife, has been our biggest drawback. Wanting to make or create the kind of results that we've aimed at creating whilst being in this environment. This environment has its positives and it has its negatives. And the issue about changing environment is not so much a negative thing, it's just the idea that there are people who have left from their countries and come over to this country, and that's when they've experienced the kind of breakthrough that they wanted to create. So it's not the issue of one place being better so as than another. Is like I said, it's it's the factors within the environment, the distractions and those things that may affect your ability to focus and become the person you need to be so as to create the results you need to create. To be the people we need to be, it is informed by certain influences as well. And sometimes your environment will affect that person you want to be. If you've decided to be a person who embodies, greatness and authenticity and positivity, and you don't want to complain too much, but you surrounded with friends who complain about government and complain about everything. How can you do that? You go to work and all they complain about is, how things are bad in the country and then this and that. And so how can you remain positive? It's possible, but it's difficult. It will always be an uphill battle, and that's what it's been for me. I've had to be the most positive one in a lot of groups, and I realized that some of my closest friends, who have taken the entrepreneurial route, had to get out as well. And I will admit at this point that I was wrong to think that I could be that person without changing my environment. Again, it's not that the environment is bad, is the effect of it, is the influences, is me by nature being a helper and wanting to solve everybody else's problems but my own. And before I know it, I'm deeper in my own than even those that I want to help. And I'm tired. I'm tired being there for everybody else but myself. I'm tired helping everybody fix their issues when my issues keep digging around me. I'm tired of being taken advantage of because people know that I'm a helper, and so you know what? Let's call D-Max, let's call Dan, and I will show up without thinking. I'm tired, and if you're in Liberia and you're watching this, maybe the day will come where you try to reach out to me, and I will not be available because I would have changed my environment. And if you're not, and you connect with what I'm saying, maybe you're that helper that everybody keeps calling and you're solving everybody's problems, but your own, and you help. It's. I said a while ago that I have a number of mentees or students who have been through my workshops, trainings, who have coached, who are at the helm of government right now, who are doing better in business than I am. It's not that I'm jealous of my clients. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you feel jealous of your clients, but I'm usually proud when my clients create extraordinary results. Well, what if the pride I feel can even be greater? What if I feel proud of myself too? Because at this point, I don't know. And this is fast becoming a rent, but so what? I just feel tired for the last, what? When I came back into 2007, I strictly began training and coaching 2008, not formally, But if I really go back to it, yeah, since 2008, man, I've been pouring myself out into this country. I've poured myself out into Liberia, and sometimes I just look at where the country is going and look at the decisions that leaders are making, and it's like, man, was I around? Did I ever make an impact? Meanwhile, I could have used this time to be in another country and have, 20-30 million dollars in my account by now. So what is it? What is it? I think, I concluded the second batch. I've been writing what I call legacy letters that I want to leave for my grandchildren. I know. Um, I'm big on legacy thinking, and I want when my grandchildren come around that I'll have left some things for them. And whilst I work to leave material possessions and inheritances, I also want to leave insights and wisdom. And in writing the second set of letters, I really I had to do something. I mean, every time you write legacy letters, you have to think, right? But it's like, man, I'm leaving these letters, or I'm writing these letters to leave, to be there. If I meet, if I'm fortunate to be alive by the time my daughter or my kids start to have kids, that's great. And I plan to be around. But even if I don't meet my grandkids and I leave these, that's great. But what else? What else? I will feel bad having to leave the face of this earth knowing that I could have created so much more than I have created. An impact in results personally as well as globally. You know, I've done the coaching, I've done the talking, I've done the teaching, and nothing happens. And there's so much potential in this Liberia that I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just need to stop teaching, stop coaching, stop training, and move into the practicality of the economy. From agriculture to infrastructure, all of these things I could make a better impact in if I had more money. Money that I could have been creating had I not been focused on coaching and training here in Liberia. Anyways, I gotta go. Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't even know what the topic, what the title of this talk is, but it is what it is. So let me know in the comments if any of this resonates with you in any way. You got questions? Let me know, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.